Before this video starts today, I just want to say thank you to our patrons, Nanani no Nora Paidrei. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. And let's go ahead and get today's video started. Hey guys, it's Vanny. So back again from the Card Fight Vanguard deck profile. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and join the Patreon. Let's get started. Today, we have our Kagero Dauntless Drive Dragon and Dauntless Dominate Dragon deck profile. So as you know, one of them gets a restand between the two dragons, and the other one is physically impossible to pass. So, or at least one to pass. Like, honestly, this deck is really scary once it gets to grade 3. Like, okay, grade 2 and lower, it's mellow, it's not that bad. Once we get to grade 3, you're in for hell. So let's go ahead and get this deck started, shall we? First up, we have our starter in Lizard Runner Undu, 6k base, 10k shield, grade 0 with boost. Auto when it's wrote upon, draw a card, then if your opponent's vanguards are grade 1 or greater, put a quick shield ticket to your hand. So standard starter ability, nothing special about it. You get a draw, you get a quick shield. You typically use that quick shield as discard fodder for like your searchers or Dauntless' skill. But that draw is always helpful, and the quick shield can be helpful in like an early 5k guard moment. So all around Undu is pretty good, and I choose to run this as my starter because there's no reason to run combo. Because combos are restricted for Overlord. Our trigger lineup is 8 crit and 4 embodiment of Spirit Tar, 4 Angry Horn Dragon, our 4 draw PG and Wyvern Guard Bari, 5k base, 0 shield, grade 0 with boost, draw trigger, you can change Sentinel, you have 4 Sentinels in your deck, auto guard when placed, discard a card from your hand, and one of these cannot be sent to battle. Now, I prefer the draw PG just because like it gets me hand cards and makes it a lot easier to do Dauntless, the restand one. Like, I prefer, like, I will go between Dauntless Drive and Dauntless Dominate each match, and I will try to use both of them at the same time. So I like to get the draw trigger so I can keep up my hand, but if you want to run the crit Sentinel with this deck, and then you just keep on Dauntless Reverse, I wouldn't disagree with it because it's physically impossible to the pass the boy, and having extra crits on Van is a really scary thing. So if you want to do the 12 crit and one of them being the crit Sentinel, you can, but I prefer the 8 crit 4 draw. And then we have our heal trigger and Mother Orb Dragon. If you're wondering why this isn't the heal guardian, because as I've said before in the past, I don't like the fact that it's a 15k shield. Its skill is greatly detrimental to my playstyle, and I just don't like using it. Does that mean it's bad? No. If you want to run it in your deck, run it in your deck. But to me, I'm not running it in my deck. So 4 copies of Mother Orb Dragon though. And then we're on to our grade 1s. 4 copies of Flame of Hope Airmo, 8k base, 10k shield, grade 1 with boost, continues rear guard during the battle that it boosted, it gets plus 3k power, and auto rear guard, when your opponent's rear guard is retired during your turn, retire this unit, draw a card, and countercharge 1. So it's an 11k booster guaranteed, and that's always really appreciated because it's for free. And, you know, if your opponent's rear guard is retired during that turn, regardless if it's by battle or by actual effect, you can retire him to get you a draw and get you a counter. That's really nice because one of the reverse one requires a counterblast to do the skill that basically makes it impossible to pass it, so you want to always get that counter charge, and he's just like a really good grade 1 to have. Like, honestly, he's in almost all of my grade, I mean, in almost my Kagero decks. Like, I have a Kagero formula, more or less, where all my grade 1s and 2s are more or less the same as each other. That's because, like, they're all generic and they're really good cards, so Airmo's a really nice grade 1 to have, and I run it at 4. 4 copies of Lava Flow Dragon, 8k base, 10k shield, grade 1 with boost, continues vanguard or rear guard during your turn. If you have more rear guards than your opponent, it gets plus 5. Here's how you use this. You ride 1 copy of it, or you ride your main grade 1 of the ride line. What do you do after that? You call a copy of this, you look at top 5, who cares if there's a grade 3 on them? Boom, it automatically has 5k, so it's the one on Vanguard if you have another Lava Flow in Van. Really easy just for an early game rush, 13k swings, make sure that the quick shield won't be enough to block them if you went second, even though technically if you're doing this, you would have been gone second, so. And then auto Van or rear, 1 place from hand, look at top 5 cards of your deck, reveal it to 1 grade 3 from one of them, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you put a card into your hand, you gotta discard 1. So obviously discard the quick shield for this if you went second, and you discard maybe a grade 3 Dauntless Drive if you're trying to be smart, just because you can. Either way, Lava Flow is a really nice grade 1, makes it really easy for early rush. One of the most prominent grade 1s, I think, for early rush, is because it's a lot easier to do, because like all the 5k, like a lot of the 5k units is really easy to hit off, but this is one of the easier ones to hit off in the early game, because all you have to do is call one of these, because who's going to call a rear guard during the first turn of the game? Like, not just like the first turn for them, but like the first turn of the entirety of the game, the one where you can't attack. So 4 copies of Lava Flow is a really good grade 1, searches, easy for a rush, nice card. 4 copies of our last grade 1 in the main grade 1 you want to ride. Dragon Knight He Shot, 8k base, 10k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto rear when placed, counterblast 1 and soul blast 1. Draw a card, choose one of your opponent's back or rear guards and kill it. So you can use this to murder an opponent's back or rear guard and make it harder for them to like set up with boosters later, or you can do this like how everyone who plays Berserk Dragon does and play it just to get a draw. Yeah, this thing is really good to get you a draw, but then also when it's wrote upon, look at top 5, reveal to 1 grade 3 from one of them to your hand, put it and shuffle your deck. So basically, you get a grade 3 for free, which is really nice. It's a possibility to get a grade 3. You don't guarantee you get a grade 3, but it's really nice that you don't have to discard for it if you do add 1, and you can get you a draw once on rear guard and placed, and I like its art. So it's a cool card all around, and 4 copies, just because. Like, who wouldn't want a searcher and someone who can kill something and get a draw out of it? Next up, we have our grade 2s. 3 copies of Berserk Dragon, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, auto van or rear. When placed, counterblast 1 and soul blast 1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and if this unit's on van, you get a draw card. So, yes, most of the time people just run this in their deck to ride it, and then they get a draw, because it's one of the best grade 2 rides. Like, it's a free, not really a free draw, you'd have to counterblast and soul blast 1 for it, but it's a draw, and who doesn't want to draw, especially because, like, not a lot of cards in the deck Soul Blast. Like, yeah, this one's Soul Blast, and Dominate does Soul Blast, but it's not really that bad when they all only Soul Blast 1. And Auto Rear, when it attacks a Vanguard, if you have more rear guards than your opponent, it gets +3 for the battle. So 13k Swinger, you add Lava Flow behind it, boys at 26. Pretty good number, basically the equivalent to what a grade 3 is boosted by Lava Flow, and I like it. I put it at 3 because, you know, if you want to be able to retire, especially because Dauntless can get rid of gifts, but also just in case you want to draw because you place it on van. 3 copies of Bellicosity Dragon, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto van rear, when your opponent's rear guards retire during your turn, this unit gets plus 5k power for the turn. So, in this deck, during the main phase, that's never going to go off really well. Like, the most you'll ever get is 10, but if you're not on Dominate. But then when you're on Dominate, because thankfully this doesn't require to be in the main phase, if you're on Dominate immediately from 1 retiring of a locked card makes your opponent nuke 3 rear guards. Automatically, this thing's at least getting, if they nuke the actual 3, this thing's getting plus 15. So it's a 25k swing on its own. And it's for each locked card, which means if you have multiple locked cards, it's getting more power, and you can possibly delete gifts while you're at it. Bellicosity is really good in this deck, gets really big numbers, and you'd be a fool not to run it, because it's 3 copies. 3 copies of Torque Cannon Dragon, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, active Vanguard or rear guard once per turn, counterblast 1, put a normal unit from your drop zone to the bottom of your deck, choose an opponent's grade 2 or less rear guard, retire it, and if your hand has 4 or less cards, draw a card. Basically, this is here for, like, just in case your hand's a bit low, because remember, Dauntless, the original one, while it doesn't have any cost of a counterblast skill, you have the freedom to use your counterblast, even though Dominate kind of requires counterblast. You want to be able to use your restand skill, so you send stuff back, you get a draw possibly if you're like going aggressive, or you can just go ham on purpose, make a board, then draw just so you can do things with it, and you still get to nuke a rear guard, making it harder for them to survive your gift nuking effects. All around, Tord is a pretty good grade 2, and I like it because it can get you stuff back, get you a possible draw, and it can kill rear guard, so 3 copies. And then the last grade 2 is the grade 2 that you most likely want to ride, unless you really just want to use Berserk Dragon, use Berserk Dragon. 4 copies of Break Breath Dragon, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, auto rear. At the end of the battle that attacked, if your opponent's rear guard was retired this turn, retire a draw card. Good news is, just like Airmo, it doesn't matter if it was retired via battle or by effect, it still goes off, and you can swing into a rear guard with this, because it's at the end of the battle that attacked, not at the end of the battle that attacked a Vanguard. So swing into your opponent's rear guard, they take it, something was retired this turn, retire it, draw a card. Really nice. And then auto when it's rode upon, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. If you did not retire, you draw a card. So either they lose a rear guard because they've been being slightly aggressive and trying to rush you early, or they don't lose a rear guard and you get a plus out of it. Either way, Break Breath is really good. The only cost that he has on him entirely is just retiring himself when he swings, or after he swings. So amazing grade 2 that I like, 4 copies because it gets your hand. On to our grade 3s. 4 copies of Dauntless Drive Dragon, 13k base, grade 3 200 drive force gift, auto van, when at the end of the battle your drive check revealed 2 or more normal units, one of your front or rear guards gets plus 10 for the turn. So, if only he could give it to himself, because if we read his later skill, he'll end up giving reverse that skill, and then numbers will be a thing. But, you know, it's still good, because, like, reverse can make numbers on his own, so this can get your rear guards to make numbers, even if you're just stuck on this. Giving your rear guards numbers is good, and then auto van, once per turn, at the end of the battle that attacked anything, it can be a rear guard, can be a vanguard. If your hand has 4 or more cards, and that's what Tord is here for, drop 3, and you may restand this boy. No drive minus. So you do technically lose an overall hand card, because while it is once per turn, you are discarding 3, but then, you know, when you restand this, you're getting a total of 4 hand cards, so you're only getting 1 drive check, technically speaking. But either way, still pretty good. And then the other ability, auto when it's rode upon, choose one of your vanguards that gets all these cards' auto abilities other than this ability until the end of turn. So if you ride a copy of this on top of it, you can get 2 restands, which is just a finisher on its own, but then that plus 10k if you reveal 2 or more normies during your drive check. Well, if you have 2 of these on top of each other, then that means if your drive check reveals 4 normal units, if your first drive check reveals 2 normal units, either 1 rear guard gets plus 20, or 2 rear guards get plus 10. Yeah, Dauntless is pretty good, but then also you can give these skills to Dauntless Dominate Dragon Reverse, and I'll explain why it would be broken in a second. 13k base, grade 3 200 Excel Force Gift, not Persona Ride. Did I say Persona Ride earlier? I think I said Force Gift, but if I said Persona Ride earlier, I meant Force Gift. So Force Gift, auto van, when your normal unit appears in your drive check, counterblast 1, put that rear guard as a locked card. If you put this unit gets plus 10k in the drive for the battle. So by counterblasting 1, this boy is immediately a 23 triple drive, even though you lose a rear guard, which means 2 to pass, and this is physically impossible, because if they see another trigger, and it immediately becomes 33, or they see another normal unit and they have a counterblast open, they call, lock it, +10 and a drive. Yeah, it is impossible to pass this, and you put force 2s on this because this deck does not need numbers, and your opponent basically has to PG every Vanguard attack, which is amazing. And then auto ban, at the end of the battle, they attacked Soul Blast 1, unlock all of your locked cards, retire those units. For each unit retired, your opponent must choose 3 of your own rear guards, retire them, and if 2 or more were not retired, remove a gift marker from one of your own circles. So it only removes 1 gift marker, unlike Blazing Flare, who can nuke the entire gift marker board, which is not as good, but at the same time, he nukes 3 rear guards at once, and you combine with Bellicosity, boy hits for 25 really quickly. And you combine with Dauntless Drive, well, because then you're getting quad drive, or at least triple drive, let's just, unless you pull 2 triggers, let's just assume that you see at least 1 normal unit, and let's just assume you hit quad drive, you ride, skill, let's just say Bellicosity is on your board gets to 20, and then use this thing, Soul Blast 1, nuke their 3 rear guards, boy becomes a 35, and let's assume they don't have to nuke a gift this time, and then, restand him due to Dauntless skill, and then he can do all of that again, except for the restand part. So, boy can nuke board, possibly restand, get you extra drives, makes it physically impossible for 2 to pass, and makes any of your rear guards a dangerous threat. Yeah, okay. Reverse is bullshit. Reverse is genuinely bullshit. Like, this is one of the better cards that came out of the set. Like, as I noticed, like, a lot of the reverse cards, in my opinion, or like a lot of cards, the longer they take to be released, they seem to be more or less, I'm not saying all of them, but like some of them I feel like are going down in sight bit quality wise. Like, I think reverse, like this one, is one of the best cards out there now, and I think Himiko Reverse is the only reverse unit in my opinion that rivals this. I guess Ethics Buster too, but like in terms of simplicity, this thing's obviously better than Ethics Buster. So reverse is pretty good, gives numbers, makes it physically impossible for 2 to pass unless they counterblast Starview, and makes your opponent wish they weren't playing against this deck. 4 of. Gift-wise, 5 Force 1s, 5 Force 2s, because the game's not going to go long enough for you to get 6. Force 1 and Force 2, they can both be placed on Vanguard or Rearguard when acquired. Differences, Force 1 can be put, when it's put onto a circle, the unit on it gets +10. It can be stacked, it can be put on the same circle multiple times. So, if there's 1 Force 1 on a circle, it gets +10. If there's 3, +30. If there's 5, +50, etc. And Force 2, it does not stack. You can still put them on the same circles, but it won't do anything. The original critical of the unit on it becomes 2. So basically what that means is if you have 2 of them on the same circle, your original critical doesn't become 3, it becomes 2 because of how it is worded. If it's a +1 critical, then it would do that. So honestly, you could pick Force 1 and make your numbers a lot harder to guard, or you can just pick Force 2, force them to guard, shove it on the Vanguard, force them to guard every Vanguard attack, but then make sure that it's always a PG, because 2 to passing this is suicide. And same as 3 to pass. Like, if they have 2 counterblast, 3 to pass is just suicide. Like, unless like you really think they're gonna pull a trigger, because most of the time it's gonna require a trigger. But like, the more open counterblast they have, the more you have to guard with, because then the fear of them seeing normal units is coming for you, and the fear of them nuking your board and all of your gifts is coming for you. This thing is like the hate thing against gift decks, because Blazing Flare, yeah, Soul Blast 5 to retire a board and gifts, yeah, that's fine. But then when you only need like 3 counterblasts guaranteed, at most 3, but it's not most of the time, it's going to be 2 though, to just nuke their entire board and their gifts. Reverse is pretty good. I mean, the only downside to him is he doesn't really take protect markers from hand. It has to be a gift on their board, but still, this is pretty good, and I like it. And I prefer Force 2 with this deck because it makes everything forced to be guard, and they will have to PG the Vanguard if they want to live, because 2 to pass on this is just crazy. And then we have our quick show, which is one of your attacks is +5k for the battle. Nothing too special about it. You typically just discard it for things like Dauntless over here, or for, Lava Flow. But, it can still be useful if you want to use that 5k shield in the early game. So, like, they can, they try attacking your rear guards, just defend them. Or, like, maybe they're going for big rush and trying to put you at a certain damage early. Just guard it. Quick shield is fine in this deck. That's pretty much it for the deck. So, what have I learned from playing this / playing against it? Deck is bullshit. Nukes the board, gets power, can literally make it physically impossible for 2 to pass, makes it harder to 3 to pass. If there's Force 2 on this, you should not pass this at all. You should just PG it straight away. Gets a lot of extra drive checks, gets restands, is a hell to anyone who fights it, and will burn your opponent into the very deep abyss. All around, this deck is very fun for the person playing it. For the person playing against it, I pity you and I pray for you. So I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, join Discord, follow the Twitch, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.